In Nigeria, sports followers were patiently waiting for the 20th edition of the National Sports Festival, one that will be properly staged since ECO 2012.
It is why we decided to rebuild the Samuel Ogbamodia Stadium to world standards.
The hosts, Edo State, said they were ready to make it a memorable competition. Admirable work was done at the Samuel Ogbamodia Stadium, and pre-testing events were successful. It cost a lot to plan for such, and with just days to the kickoff date, COVID-19 said no.
Mr. President took the decision and gave the directive that the National Sports Festival, Christine Edo 2020, should be postponed as a precautionary move against the spread of COVID-19.
Sports has suffered arguably the most losses in this pandemic. Nigeria's under-17 women's team, the Flamingos World Cup qualifying clash with Ghana, was called off, and the Super Eagles AFCON qualifying match against Sierra Leone was also postponed. Major football leagues have shut down, clubs approving pay cuts, and some laying off staff.
The English Premier League is costing them, on TV rights alone, not match day expenses, about £800 million. La Liga, 750. Serie A, 780 million euros. Back home in Nigeria, we have to sit down with our sponsors, try and consolidate our sponsors and see what we can do.
From basketball to tennis, boxing, and athletics, the COVID-19 pandemic has damaged sporting events. The Teslim Balogun Stadium is unbelievably quiet. Nothing is happening. Cancelled sporting events and a growing uncertainty is the harsh reality of COVID-19 on sports. Major competitions have been pushed till next year, but nerves are not calmed. And that's because officials are still struggling to understand what post-COVID-19 will bring. From the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos, Nigeria, Austin Okonakman, Channels Television News.
All right, he's right here in the studio. Austin, how you doing?
Good morning, Yemi. Good morning. Good to be on the show. COVID-19 tried to shut down everything, but we're glad we got this one going.
I like some of the things you said in that report, and it's interesting that we should take a look at it. A lot of people are worried, like you said, a lot of people are worried about what's happening right now, but they're still going to be live after COVID. This disruption is not going to end here.
That's right.
And so what are the things to expect?
That's what I was trying to look at that report, that we're bothered about this now. Clubs are laying off staff, clubs are approving pay cuts, sponsors are saying we might not, be able to continue. The French Ligue 1, for instance, the major rights holders are saying, we're not going to pay you the remainder of your money. That's because you haven't been giving us content. And see, those were signed contracts already. It's happening now. Post-COVID-19 will be a serious problem. A leading global scientist, Professor Sidha, says that if a vaccine is not discovered and approved for this COVID-19, then we should forget about the Olympics in 2021. And I think it's making a lot of sense because...
Just to quickly support you, Novak Djokovic, just to support what you said, says, look, if I'm not going to support being injected or anything, just find a way to stop this, just to support what you said.
Yeah, but then the majority of persons that will go to Tokyo, we will say, look, are we sure that Tokyo is safe? Cecilia, Japan, we say, we don't even know the persons we are bringing into our country now. So
they're even in trouble right now.
It's a growing uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen to our world of sports post-COVID-19. We know the action will come. Our superstars will do their best. It will never be the same again. Persons will think over and over again before they go to the stadium now to watch a match. You think about carrying your entire families there and be comfortable. Sponsorship will be a whole lot of problem because when we get out of this now, a lot of companies will find a way to work with their tight budget.
Absolutely.
So post-COVID-19 will be difficult for our world of sports.
Let me just say this quickly, or let me just ask you this. The advanced countries are already looking at a lot of scenarios post-COVID. So let's bring it home. Are we looking at, have you heard anything? Any ideas out there? Are we thinking of playing behind closed doors? What are the scenarios to bring sports back?
So last week, we got a press statement after the minister had a teleconference call with the executive committee of the NFF. that we have 6 to 8 weeks to end the league, depending when this COVID-19 is called.
Whenever it ends.
Good. We didn't have a sponsor for the league. It makes it difficult now when we come out of this. I spoke to the president of the NFF, Majupinik, in that report, and he said they have to sit down with their sponsors and see how they can consolidate. And that will be a whole lot of work because, for instance, let's take a major sponsor of football in Nigeria, an organization in the oil and gas sector. When it comes back now, how is oil doing in the international market? It's difficult. So let's just hope that we see light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're looking at Japan right now. You know, you mentioned about the postponement of the Olympics. Right now, they have more than 10,000 cases and 287 deaths, 38 deaths right now. That's what is happening in Japan. Take a look at the city, Tokyo, 3,000 confirmed cases and 71 deaths. And it's like it's just rising in Japan. At first, they didn't have this many cases and all that. And if they cannot deal with this, then there's going to be a problem.
Celia, thanks for adding to our worries. That's what I'm talking about. So before you, for instance, an international journalist will go to Tokyo, you think twice. Like, is it really a clean city for me to go and cover the Olympics now? And if Cecilia, a journalist, is thinking that way, what is Blessing Okagbare saying? What's Divine Oduduru saying? Noah Lies, what are they going to be saying to themselves? You know, you start seeing countries saying, look, it's better we stay safe. Let's not just go. So a lot is tied around it. We had Marion Yale on the news at 10 last night. It says the action will still be the same. Our athletes will make it competitive. But those other things, Japan just postponing the Olympics, suffered 6 billion.
It could be more than that.
Yeah,
that's just projection,
projected figures. So it's going to be tough.
Before we let you go, on this table, we're all journalists. We love sports. Aside being journalists, we're sports fans. I know the timeline for a vaccine is maybe 9 months. You know, so before the Olympics, we're going to get. But even with a vaccine, do you think, as a sports lover, as a sports journalist, wearing all those feathers, do you think you would want to go to Tokyo, even with a vaccine?
I've always told,
think like a journalist, then put yourself in the position of.
That's why I've always told some of our colleagues that our job is like that of the military. When they say you have to go,
essential services.
But then safety first. You know, you got to think safety first. You do a lot of research and be sure that where you're going to is where you will return.
Come back alive.
Be able to get back home. So it's going to worry a lot of us. I mean, it's going to worry the world of sports, Cecilia. So I think we need beyond human efforts to defeat this. We need grace, divine intervention.
Sure.
God needs to visit our world again and cleanse it.
All right.
It's just about that cleansing. That's the only way we can actually overcome this, because it's becoming more and more difficult. But then another aspect I really want to look at is the fact that you know, somebody has the case. It's not like a death sentence. I mean, we've seen recovery rates and all that. So recovery rates kind of higher than the death rates. That's what we've seen in Nigeria, for instance, and all that. So I think that alone should also give us comfort. That
some hope.
Some hope. Okay.
But how careful can we be again? Because it's not about the cases anymore. I want to go to all the hospitals in Tokyo to start saying, are you sure you clean this place? Are you sure a dead person wasn't here?
I know.
They're going to sanitize everywhere.
I was want to thank you for your time. Want to thank you for the time. You're busy a lot these days, so we'll let you go back to your busy schedule.
COVID-19 team, you know. COVID-19 is taking everything, taking sports tonight, that's taking... We're supposed to be preparing for the Channel's International Kids Cup, guys.
Absolutely.
It's not happening, so this has to go, so we move on with our lives.
All right. Once again, thank you. Thank you, Austin. And we need to go on a break. And when we return from that break, there's a lot for you on Sports This Morning. Join us again.